Welcome to Spiritual Sundays, where we talk about things, look at life from a spiritual point of view. Just getting the live stream up. I'm going to need to silence my YouTube channel, and I think thanks for joining us live. Today, actually, my image might look a bit strange today because I found a new feature on Zoom that does auto framing, but it's also made the picture, at least on my screen, it's a little bit blurry. So apologies for that. I don't know how to turn it off, and we're live, so we're just going to have to live with it. And picture's different this week. You can see this is our dog, Santina, who sadly she passed away a few years ago, but very much still in our hearts. And here's Mason, just coming in. Hi Mason. So while Mason joins us, which just like a recap of what we've been doing this week, is we've been thinking about how do you live from your heart more than live from your head, and so that's been a practice for all of us this week. And we just had a little chat before we came on air, and I know, Mason, that's a practice that you've been getting into over the course of the week, and I know you've got how are you, by the way? Hello. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah, thanks, Mike. I'm gonna go grab my headphones because somehow it's hard for me to hear. I don't know why.
Okay. Wonder if
Maybe if I plug my headphones in, or I don't know if your volume can be turned up at all. Let me just,
is my volume very low?
yeah, your volume is, and
Is it?
mine is,
Wait a minute. Have I got this plugged in properly? Let's just have a check.
yeah,
One,
okay.
two, one,
One
two.
sec, brother. One sec.
Sorry about this, everybody. We're just having a few technical. Here's Jeremy. Having a few technical difficulties. Is my microphone working? It does seem rather low. You're absolutely right. Let's see. Audio settings. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's incredibly low, yeah. Maybe it's not plugged in properly. Is that better? Hopefully that's better. Sorry, it's not very entertaining, this. Well, maybe it is entertaining watching us bumble through the setup. But then that's life, isn't it? You just sort of turn up and you show up and you do the best you can, really.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. Okay, I think I might have better sound now. I'm just going to have to bring this microphone closer to my mouth. Is that any better, Mason?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I don't even
don't
know if
know.
I need headphones.
Yeah, I think maybe it just needs to be a bit closer. Yeah.
Okay, so scrap the headphones, and then I'll just sit close to, and hopefully you can hear me both.
Mm. Yeah. I was just saying to the folks at home, thanks for bearing with us. I mean, often, that's life, isn't it? They say 80% is just showing up. I wonder
Yeah,
what's the other 20%? Maybe
I mean,
showing
absolutely
up and not
perfect.
losing your shit. It could be that.
Yeah,
Showing up and staying calm, staying present. Probably that's what
yeah,
it is. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. And I think it's just showing up as like translates into authenticity, which is the cool one, the goal, I guess, right? Living authentic or being authentic, even in just like quick moments.
Yeah, I guess just be yourself. Just be yourself. What else can you do? What was it Oscar Wilde said? Be yourself. All the other parts are taken.
Oh yeah,
Jeremy, I can see it keeps. I get a thing on the screen saying Jeremy's talking, but we can't hear you, and we can't see you.
Oh, okay.
I can hear you now,
All right.
and see you. There you go.
You can see me now too. Okay. Wonderful.
So should we start by maybe just like helping everybody arrive, and maybe just
Yeah.
have a grounding welcome meditation, and then we can sort of have a little chat about, you know, how this heart-based, you know, what's heart-based practice, how's it been going, what's been good, what's been difficult, you know, what's been seemingly impossible. I've had moments where it's been, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Did you want to anchor people, Mike?
I can give it a go. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Mason, can't hear you. You've kind of gone, you're muted. You're not muted, but we can't hear you.
My boy is still here. It's,
There's Jeremy's mum.
That's my mom.
they're doing good.
Yeah. So
All right.
yes, we'll have a bit of just taking a moment, really, just to arrive. And one of the things that we can do with that is we can just begin to take a breath, and it's a conscious breath. And with that, you don't have to do anything other than just become aware of the air coming into your body, into your lungs, and the air coming out. And it's not about trying to regulate your breath. It's not about trying to control it in any way. It is simply noticing it. And then you're going to notice, are you breathing in through your nostrils, or do you need to breathe in through your mouth? And whichever you have to do is fine. If you can breathe in through your nostrils and out through your mouth, or in through your nostrils and out through your nostrils, that's good as well. And this simple act of breath awareness is more powerful than it would seem on the surface, because it's beginning to bring your attention to the what's sustaining life in your body. And then you're becoming aware of your sense of touch. So with your hands, you know, there's something that you can touch. Is it cool? Is that a cool surface, or a rough, smooth? Just feel a sense of touch. And then you want to, now you're aware of your breath and you're aware of your sense of touch. So we're bringing ourselves to the body. And tune into what can you hear. So where I am, I can hear the slight whooshing noise of the central heating that's on. And I can hear my partner upstairs doing her yoga. And I can hear the buzzing in my ears because I have a slight touch of tinnitus. And all of these things, they're just bringing us into the present moment, into our bodies, because we do have a tendency as human beings to be in our heads and skipping forward. So if all we did was just rest in this moment, feeling where your body's touching the chair, if you're in a chair, or if you're lying down, where your body's touching the bed, if you're on a bed or a couch, wherever you are. Noticing what's happening in your chest area. Is there any tension there? If so, just notice it. You don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to get rid of it. Just noticing it. Often the act of noticing things brings an awareness to the body, to the moment, to where you are, and here's the proposition. What if, while you're with us for the next however long we're going to be live here, or if you're watching the replay, what if that was all that you had to do or be just for this moment? And then just stay with us as this evening's or this morning for the guys in Canada, for how this conversation unfolds. And we'll just be together for this moment, whether we're together in a moment of time or we're just together because we've been connected somehow through the internet. And if there's any tension in your body, that's okay. You might just want to tense into that, just tensing your muscles in the body, legs, arms, belly, back, just gently, and release. And we might do that one more time, just tensing hands, arms, legs, belly, shoulders, and release. And that's it, just simple as that. And we sort of in a slightly different space together. And I'd love to know how you guys got on with being not so much in the head and coming into the heart, and how's that gone for you? I'm very curious. How's that gone?
Meditation, Mike. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was cool. It's nice to just be grounded for a second. Um, it was. I did most of this practice in the morning. I'm a morning person, and it it feels really clear. Feels like when you try to bring your awareness down into some heart space or from this like emotional space that oh, I just got a reverb or an echo. Sorry, I heard an echo there.
It's okay. It's not
Like
coming through for the rest of us. I think maybe that's just for you.
okay, interesting. But it seems like when I aim for this heart space or your heart chakra, it's something related to an emotional space. It brings a like a clarity. I move away from my kind of out of my mind into this clear sort of space. In fact, I got this reverb. I gotta sort this out now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I gotta interrupt myself. I can't hear myself. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, Jeremy, how about yourself?
Yeah, I found for me, it was sometimes it was difficult, sometimes it was easy. Sometimes when going from up, because we're working on the third eye, going from the third eye and then sinking down into the heart space, that it's warm and it's close, like comforting. And for me, there's also some pain there. And so being able to be in that space and be able to breathe while resting in the heart space, I found that to be a little bit challenging sometimes. And so there's this moment when, due to internal dialogue and self-talk and noticing that pain and then sending it love and sending it gentleness and care, and then it softens and it slowly unravels, and maybe more pain comes from over here or over there, but then over time, sometime, then it slowly unravels to where I'm sitting in this warm space, this very cozy space. That was my experience.
So I mean, so I guess, you know, when you're talking about a challenge as well, okay, and you know, anybody join in at any time on this one as well, because you know, Mason's back. Has your echo gone?
Like, I think so. I just
Yeah.
unplugged the headphones. We'll go like this. I thought it would, anyway, technical stuff always trips me up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. How does that sort of resonate with your experience as well? What Jeremy was talking. I don't know if you heard what Jeremy was saying. Um,
I did, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's really like along the same lines. And like the other thing even I thought of when as you're explaining it, Jeremy, is what's the tolerance? What's your limit for being able to grab this practice and become aware and try to implement it? Because sometimes emotions are high, right? Like if you like maybe it's an anger outburst or it's some grief or sadness that is just like so deep that it's hard. It seems like that's another totally different practice. It would be cool to talk about like recognizing your window of tolerance and grabbing it, like getting better at bringing this practice in those really heightened states, those really hard to do moments. But yeah, so this week I was practicing it mostly from a peaceful place, like a calm place. And it did roll me into that type of a situation Jeremy's talking about. So if I can manage to get a hold of it and breathe into it, yeah, it gets me like away from that analytical mind and into this just like feeling it, nurturing it, you know, this like feel it to heal it philosophy. It's yeah, and I found sometimes a feeling I'd have to pause it and give it rest. Like, okay, I know this thing's been on my mind for like a month, let's say I've been thinking about this thing, and I sink into this heart space and I just welcome that thing in to feel the feelings. And sometimes it doesn't go away. I don't solve it. I don't get a big download. I just sat with it for a few minutes. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes I'd get like an answer, but yeah. And then the last thing, this really feels like stabilizing your nervous system. And I was thinking of some financial stuff, right? So as I think about the financial stuff, it kind of makes me nervous. Sometimes just making my nervous system safe and then inviting that thought into that safe nervous system place where it's like, oh, we can just coincide for a minute and just getting used to that, right? That's that felt like a check mark to me. That felt like a victory. That felt like I did something useful. It felt like maybe I won't get so much anxiety next time I have to really deal with this thing. Like when I have to go into the bank and, deal with the papers and all that stuff. That's what this type of meditation made me think like.
I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult. I wonder if it's difficult for a lot of people to sit with emotion. So maybe we should talk about what do we mean when we say sitting with emotions as well, because you hear that kind of language, and sometimes some one of the things that I think is really interesting, and I think one of the things I like that we're trying to do here is make spirituality like just down to earth and accessible for people, in ways that sometimes it might be a little bit kind of mysterious and a bit woo woo and stuff, and I don't even like that word woo woo, but when you're sitting with something, the way I think about it is I have, it's like having the courage not to kind of run away from a feeling, And often I find, as being me, I've learned to notice when I'm angry, when I feel a sense of anger or frustration. And over the years of going through therapy and working with people, I could just kind of realize that generally, if I'm upset, angry, it's usually because something's frightening me, and I don't really like to admit to being frightened by things because I'm sort of an adult male, and I think I shouldn't really be frightened of things. But there are, you're talking about financial things, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be able to resonate with that at a time when looks like there's a bit of a global, what's that word, when the economy goes down, recession. Where people are worried, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and whenever there's uncertainty, people tend to kind of try and sit on the money that they've got, and then that money's not circulating. I mean, I'm not an economist, but fear certainly tends to be a part in downturns in the economy. So I think a lot of people are worried about making their mortgage or paying their rent or looking after their kids and making sure everybody's sorted out. Sorry, that was a big long question. Was a bit of a rambler. But when we say sitting with something, what do we mean? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, right? It's kind of like what you're talking about. It's it's like, so when you sit with something, it's kind of like you get this initial feeling of fear, right? Like, oh my, you know, the economy might crash, or so, my job might slow down, or the tariffs, or the economy might do something, and you have this fear about how something big is going to affect your personal financials, which is totally, totally legit. And there's a lot of smart planning that goes into that you could do. But sometimes if you get stuck in this fear, it's like you just pay attention to that feeling in your body, like that fear, like what is it? And you just try to hold that feeling in your body. That's one way of just simply sitting with your feelings. Or another way that's almost similar but kind of slightly different is you try to like understand that feeling. It's like, okay, what is this happening inside my body? Is it like adrenaline rushing through? Is that what adrenaline feels like? Because you can have a scary thought sometimes, and it'll give you an adrenaline shot. So is it that? Sometimes in counseling, I like to encourage people to think about fear or discomfort in that way, in that like biological way, like, oh, it's an adrenaline rush. That thought gave you an adrenaline rush, or that car driving by really quickly gave you an adrenaline rush. And the body can process adrenaline in about 90 seconds. Usually, a shot of adrenaline, like an emotion, an anger, any emotion, usually lasts about 90 seconds. And so, if you name it, you can tame it. So it's an adrenaline rush. The body's going to process it. You breathe for a couple moments, and you will kind of come down in calmness. That's one way of like sitting with an emotion or diffusing an emotion. And then like another suggestion I would have, one last one is these thoughts. So what if the economy crashes? Or what if I lose my job? Or what if I can't afford this? Or what if I can't pay this bill on time, and then so there's a foreclosure, or my bill gets canceled? And just like sitting with those thoughts and trying to answer those questions in your own mind, as uncomfortable as it could be, as hard as it could be to admit the truth. I didn't make the payments because I take responsibility. Like, if you just sit with those thoughts and ask yourself those questions, and try to understand that it's not going to harm you, it's not going to hurt you. It could raise your anxiety, and it's a practice to manage that, but these thoughts aren't going to hurt you. And so just allowing the story to play out in your mind could be a way of like sitting with these these feelings, these thoughts, these emotions. Does that help at all?
Well, my mind's latched onto this idea of there's a 90-second thing, which, was it Einstein? One of the ways Einstein talked about relativity was um, 90, 1 minute with your hand on a hot stove feels a lot longer than a minute if you're having a pleasant conversation with somebody. Because you're in pain. So that 90 seconds of a thought coming in and it being really painful thought or a difficult thought, I think there's something in there in realizing, look, I can probably wait this out for 90 seconds, and if I'm breathing and if I'm like acknowledging it and not running away from it, not trying to push it away, not trying to ignore it, I think that's what we're talking about, this practice of sitting with things. And you've got to practice self-care as well, because a person, we don't know how vulnerable a person's feeling. So I've come across people who've really, maybe they've spent too long sitting with things, and actually what they need to do is get up and go for a walk and get some fresh air and go out into nature. And if you've got a friend that you can call, share that problem with a friend as well. We don't want to be encouraging people to be like super stoic and just sit with these feelings. But I think that little thing that you said there, that is for 90 seconds, I think I can stand just about anything for about 90 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's going to pass, then that's good. And if I can start to move into maybe starting to do something different with it as well.
Yeah, I'm just making a note because some notes of
So it pops
good
up.
conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think sometimes, if you give yourself permission for a 90-second engagement, like say you like a double it, and it's like 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to sit with this for 2 or 3 minutes, and even if it's not solved, it's like you took a chip out of it. You made an attempt. You did, Rome wasn't built in a day, that philosophy. Like it's one brick at a time, and you'll build your house. So even if you sit with something for 90 seconds, I think it's like softening, taking a piece out of it. And even something else I'm thinking of as we're talking about this is like sitting with is like allowing. It's like maybe you're not sitting with this big, uncomfortable, cold ice block next to you that's just like freezing and taking up your space. Maybe it's like you're allowing something to speak or be heard. So if you're like allowing it, then maybe that gives you a sense of control or a slight sense of empowerment. I'm going to allow this thing, this feeling. I'm going to open the door for 90 seconds. Like express yourself and say your piece, and you can come back later or tomorrow and then close the doors. And so maybe, yeah. And maybe those two little ounces of control on even just a simple thought like is enough to change it, right? Because I think a big part of what we're talking about, what I'm imagining this is really helpful for is, excuse me, is when we get stuck in these thoughts, perhaps we get stuck in some thought process. Like maybe it's the same one every single day. Maybe we got the same thought every day, or it's the same type of thought every day. Maybe you're working, you're working a job and something's going wrong in the job. And every day you go into the job and it is different, but it's along the same lines. And so just getting out of being stuck, this is helpful. Maybe the bad job was a bad example. It's not a good example, sorry.
No, I think a lot of people can resonate with that, like being in. I don't know. When you see these figures thrown around, something like, I think the last time I heard somebody talking about the kind of employment situation, they were throwing figures around, and I don't know if this is true or not, but they were saying 80% of Americans are actually in jobs that they don't like. You know, I don't know what research that's come out of, but often, you know, I mean, I can, you know, I've stayed in jobs that I haven't liked for too long, and it really gets you down. So, and we're talking about courage here, aren't we? So if we're talking about dropping into your heart space, and I don't want that to be some kind of neat little wordplay. It actually is about courage. It does take courage to allow yourself to feel what you're feeling. It really does, and I think I just want to acknowledge that for anybody who's watching as well, who resonates with what we're talking about. Then I also would like to encourage people to, you know, come and join these conversations. Whether you want to join in while we're live streaming, and because we would like to have people, you know, we welcome you to come and join with us if this is resonating with you, or in the private conversations that we have on Zoom when we stop live streaming afterwards. So so if you're finding this and you're wondering how to do that, you just need to go to our website, coursesforspirit.ca. So courses forspirit.ca, and go to workshops and just click on the Zoom link. Every Sunday it's that's 6 p.m. UK time. Just thought I should say that. Yeah.
Makes me think of a good question though, prior to what you were saying, Mike, is you know, back when you were talking about you get frightened, like it's a fear response to some things, right? And I was wondering, you know, is it when you is it like is it being frightened that it causes a lot of trouble, and or is it like admitting that you're frightened and maybe admitting what you're frightened of that causes also a secondary different type of fear, other kind of feeling? And then, you know, you dig into that and it's like, is it admitting to yourself or like admitting to someone else? Like, how does it feel? There's this big vulnerable moment right now, or you tuck it away and like think about it later. I mean, how does all those questions land?
I find it helpful when I can become aware that something is frightening me. Something is frightening me. So, you know, worry, for instance. Worry is something that you're concerned is going to happen, because you know, we worry about things that haven't happened yet. So that's being frightened of a future that I'm imagining, but you know, we all do it. And so it is fear, you know. It's fear, and we're afraid of things. We're afraid of so many things as modern people. And you see it everywhere. You know, what's the person who's doing the kind of hate speech online? They're not speaking from a sense of security. They're speaking from a sense of fear. They're afraid that their way of life will be taken away, or they're afraid that they're insignificant, or they're afraid that whatever it is, it's fear. And so sometimes I think when we can just say, actually, this is frightening me, and we've like, maybe, you know, we're all men who, you know, in this discussion, and you know, so I suppose if we're speaking from that place of gender, my understanding is when I got to a mature age, as I have done, I'm not supposed to be frightened of life. You know, I'm supposed to have this all down pat now. You know, I'm supposed to know exactly what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be, and you know, I've been working as a coach and a therapist for like 15 years plus. I'm supposed to have it all down. I've been meditating, doing spiritual practice. I mean, aren't I supposed to be some kind of fearless warrior right now?
That's the thing, the should be's and supposed to's and ought to
Yeah.
be's. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Those
not,
are tough. Those are
it's
destroyers. Yeah.
not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. Yeah, so opening up into your heart space is actually it's courage, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
we close down to protect that. Because
Yeah. Yeah. And courage. It's like, it's just, I think it's kind of hard to misunderstand. I wish you courage to admit these things, but it's like, try, yeah, try, just, I'm sure you can think of something that's hard to admit. I don't like, I got a weird fear of the dark. I've had a weird fear of the dark my whole life, right? And I don't know what exactly it's from. Maybe some trauma in this life. And even when I tell people, I always disclaim it. It's like, oh, I'm a 37-year-old man. I'm afraid of the dark. Sometimes I say it with a nervous laugh because it's like a part of me believes like I shouldn't be afraid of the dark, and it's awkward. And then when I simply say to myself, no, but you are 37 and you are afraid of the dark, like that's uncomfortable even now. I've said it so many times and I'm well practiced at that. And even that is like hard. So yeah, telling yourself or someone a secret or something you're afraid of is super difficult. Yeah. So there's courage. Yeah.
well, you've just told the entire world that you're afraid of the dark, and that at the number
Yeah.
30, at the number 37, and my response to that would be, first of all, it's like just kind of thinking about humanity. We have been afraid of the dark. That's a there are things you can't see what's coming, you can't see what's moving, you don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
That seems like a very natural fear to me.
Yeah. And it's like, well, that sounds like logic, and that fact feels better in my hand than, well, I shouldn't be afraid of the dark because I assume that most other people, other men my age, aren't afraid of the dark. It just feels like doesn't feel as good there. But and then yeah, it's like okay, I had some incidences in the dark when I was younger, and oh yeah, your development age, it grows with you, and so that's why. And oh yeah, some therapies really helped. So it actually makes a lot of sense that I'm afraid of the dark, and some people are that I am. So yeah, it's like it's okay, it's okay. And then that getting through that for 20 years, and then getting to the point where it's like, oh, actually telling people and connecting with you guys on this, it does feel good. Actually, it feels like it lets some of the fear out a little bit. It's like getting my nervous system to that place where I can say it and it's not as bad as it was, still not comfortable, but oh, it's better and progress. So
So
yeah,
I'm wondering when you bring that fear into the heart level,
yeah. Oh, okay.
when you bring that fear wherever it is and you go down into the heart level, where do you feel that fear? Is it
It's
up
like
here? There?
well, it's like I feel it in my belly, right?
In your belly?
My
Yeah.
stomach, my tummy, and that's like a quick just doing it because you asked. But that's what it feels like right away when you ask. Yeah,
Yeah. And that's interesting, right? Because we can, if we go to our heart and then wherever that fear is, we let it sit there for a while, for a minute. And while we sit there with it, we notice it and notice it can, what does it do? Does it move around? Is it a shape? Is it a color? And then from there, there's a lot of techniques where we can take that fear and move it out of the body, wherever we want to move it to. And then we examine it there and examine it there for a bit. And then we go to the heart level. And when we go to the heart level, we look at the fear from that heart level and notice how does the heart change or influence that.
I want you to take us through a technique like that sometime. Even that felt cool. The way you explained that.
Yeah. And so we're really lucky because we have these facilities in our body to make connections or disconnect. And it depends. If it's a fear that we're experiencing inside, then we can go to that and just observe it and watch what it does. And then when we bring it to the heart level, we can send it love. We can send it whatever we want to send it. We can send it wherever we want to send it, or just observe it. Just observing what it naturally does and how it moves and changes just as we're observing. And that's where the heart is quite an amazing facility for bringing things together. And the heart is an amazing facility for helping integrate our whole being. With the heart, we can manifest and we can de-manifest.
What do you
Never
mean?
heard of demanifesting. I've never heard of demanifesting before.
Yeah,
De-manifest, yeah, we can take it apart and unravel it and then observe what happens when we unravel it. Because then there might be a core space in there where maybe there'll be a memory that might be of being afraid in the dark. Like the very first memory. Sometimes we'll have a core memory of something. For example, when I was sitting with my heart and feeling the pain that was there, the pain, I sat with it and it unraveled, and it showed me different times in my life when I wasn't kind to myself, different times in my life where I was maybe not kind to someone else, or they were not kind to me. And just sitting with that, it just evolved and turned into, basically for me, it unraveled until it dissipated. And when it dissipated, I gave it more love. And then it changed it. And like Mike mentioned, the courage is important. Having the courage to sit with it, the courage to be with whatever that suffering is for a time, even if it was 90 seconds.
Should we? How about? Because we're sort of getting towards the point where we would do a meditation, but I'm just wondering if we might we might want to go in a different direction, because I thinking that actually maybe we could do a process on one of us. I mean, maybe Jeremy, you wanted to lead a process. I could take a fear that I've been carrying around with me. I don't know, Mason. Maybe you want to do that. I don't know. And then maybe we could have a process that we could do now, live.
Sure.
Of de-manifesting. I'm an EFT therapist, so I would go straight for tapping. That's my go-to when there's something in my body. I'm just like
Yeah, the tapping.
I do that, but let's maybe, because we're near the end, maybe we could do a spiritual Sundays on how tapping works and where it came from and understanding that.
Would you be willing to share tapping?
Well, we could do it now. I mean, we could do it now.
Yeah, I don't know tapping very much.
You don't?
The EFT. I know some things, but I haven't experienced it.
Okay. Well, yeah, Mason. I don't know. I'm sort of just stirring things up a little bit, I think, with the Spiritual Sundays, and thank you to the people thank you for you at home who's sticking with us. What do you guys think, Mason?
Happy to do anything. I was making a note on this whole unraveling method, the whole unraveling, going through the layers, getting to a core memory. Um, it makes me think of like a plant medicine ceremony where you've heard of those and how they can perhaps take you inward and show you a core memory maybe you haven't consciously thought of. But this method that Jeremy's talking about seems so, self-empowered, self-guided, like going within, not needing an external adventure like plant medicine. It just seems like that. It seems like it could be a powerful practice. So I don't know, is that like a thing, like an unraveling? I know we always talk about going through the layers, but it's like get that feeling, where's it in your body, bring it to the heart space, unravel it till you get to a core memory. That seems like a super awesome process. Like that seems like a tool, a method. Um, yeah, so if we did that or we did some tapping today, one of those would be sweet. Well,
Yep.
I'm game for one of those. My vote is one of those. So I guess I put it back in your guys' category. I think it would be valuable to practice one or something like that. Maybe I lead us on a just heart space meditation, uh, rather than so much time in a private discussion today. Maybe we just share one of these
Yeah.
techniques live and it's up.
Well, I can record it, and then so for viewers, they'll have a chance to view it, the meditation
Okay.
on its own.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. You sort of do a recording and make that available on the YouTube community, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, and then people can just get it as an MP3 or a podcast
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, if we if we were to do the EFT, my concern would be that, say, so intuitively, Mason, when you were talking about being afraid of the dark,
Yeah.
yeah, so that would also, because when you do EFT, you tend to release quite a lot of emotions.
Mm.
So doing this, we're live streaming this to the entire world. So this could, that could be quite exposing for a person as well. So, and also, I think you know what happened in the dark that's given you this fear of the dark. You seem to have spoken about that in other sessions with in therapy sessions. Is that right?
Yeah, I have an idea and it comes up
Yeah.
in conversation. And I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind sharing anything with anybody. I wouldn't mind sharing myself. I wouldn't mind doing a therapeutic demo or sharing part of myself. And I just run through, do I have a scenario I could share that doesn't make anybody else look a certain way? But you know, no, I don't mind. I think I feel fine. I feel trusting and I feel fine sharing about myself with you and like people that are watching this. Anyone that's watching this video has watched up until now, is here for some reason. Like I'm happy to share if someone's interested. So it's okay. So I appreciate you asking, and that's great. Um, but yeah, I would want to explore things with you. That'd be totally fine.
Okay. So the thing, if we're sort of going into this, so we can. I'm happy to do. Just introduce tapping to anybody who doesn't really know that EFT tapping, and just a very practical thing. So we won't go into where it came from and who invented it and how it's used and how it's been. We won't do all of that. We'll just go. Look, this is the technique. This is how you use it. And so if you're following along at home, first thing to do is just to be aware that if you're going to be doing something like EFT, you have to take responsibility for your own well-being, because we don't know the situation that you're in at home. We just don't know, and you could be in a very vulnerable position. And if you are in a situation like that, there's going to be helplines in the UK. There's the Samaritans. You can call them. It's free, and there's always going to be somebody there who's going to talk to you. Okay, wherever you are in the world, there's going to be a telephone service like that. So, my suggestion is, if you find anything that we're talking about really uncomfortable, is just look after yourself. That if that means switching things off, if that means doing whatever you need to do, you're going to have to take responsibility for your own well-being. Having said that, what we'll do is I'm just going to show you how you can. I mean, there are lots and lots of videos online where you can learn EFT tapping. I learnt it from Gary Craig, who's the guy who founded it, and I'm just going to show you how he does the kind of what he calls gold standard EFT, which is the tapping as he developed it. And other people have taken it in different directions. That's a whole different conversation. So quite simply, what EFT does is what made me think of it was when Jeremy was talking to you, Mason, about where the fear shows up in your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if I was to say to you, we're going to start talking about the time when you became afraid of the dark, and I was going to say, if I was going to ask you to talk about it in some detail, just thinking about that on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is I feel absolutely fine, nothing at all, I'm cool, I'm totally chill about it, and 10 is that's probably the worst feeling I could imagine. Where are you on that 0 to 10? Just thinking about maybe talking about this thing.
I mean, right now at this moment in time, like a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Maybe a 4, yeah. And yeah, if I knew like we're gonna do this for 15 or 20 minutes, be 4 or 5. If I thought we're gonna sit down and have an hour session right now, kind of on the fly, it would probably go up to a 7 or 8 or something. I just so feels like I'm comfortable with a quick dive, maybe an outline of this, but yeah, maybe not like a whole hour session at this surprise moment.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe what we'll do in that case, I think, just to be ethical about what just for safeguarding, is
Yeah.
we're not going to. I don't think it would be a good idea now to take you into that place, because I don't know what happened. Or you've got some ideas. And the thing about when you do EFT is you can sometimes, things that have been in the subconscious and you've not been aware of it, they can come up.
Yeah.
Right. And we're probably not going to stay here for an hour. And also, it's a public forum. So what we'll do instead is we're just going to work on the fear of talking about it for 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Sure.
So
Yeah.
in your stomach, there's like a 4.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm assuming it's in your stomach. Where do you feel that concern, or that kind of sort of negative emotion?
Um, you know, uh, yeah, that 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 discomfort, it comes up. It comes up like almost all over. It's like the fear of the dark that I have, right? It's like really thinky in my mind. It's like, oh, my
Yeah,
my chest kind of tightens up, my
yeah,
gut intuition, when you're like gonna get on a roller coaster and you got those butterflies like that, a
yeah,
little bit happens, and
yeah.
my shoulders like, ugh. Like I can,
Tension in your shoulders. Yeah. So it's like you're getting ready for it to be attacked, basically.
it's yeah, that
It's like
that that fight or flight syndrome starts
yeah,
to kick in
yeah.
slow. So weird,
Okay.
so weird.
Is that still a 4 or 5, or has that become more intense just as we're talking about it?
Like if I start to put the microscope on that feeling, it'll grow. Like
Okay.
it'll go to a 6.
Okay.
It's like
All right.
almost even now. It's the body reacts for sure.
Okay. Right. Okay. So the tapping points, because we're into this now, so we're not going to leave you there at the 5 or the 6. and we're just going to do a few rounds of tapping just so people can get an idea of how it works, so they can use it themselves at home. Okay, so the tapping points are very simple. There's the if you take, when you're a baby and at the back of your head, when a monk gets a bald spot, it's fontanella, yeah. So you find that and then just come forward. So you're at the top of your head with your fingers like this. You're just tapping on the top of your head, and that is the top of the head. And we start there because there's hundreds of different nerve endings at the top of the head. So when you're doing EFT, basically you're doing a form of acupressure. So you're tapping on different energy points on your body. So you're tapping directly onto your nervous system. You could think of it like that. Okay.
Interesting.
Top of the head. What do you feel when you do that?
I feel kind of comfortable. It feels like a sensitive spot. I don't use that part of my body super often, so it's like it just feels interesting and tingly. I don't know. I didn't know there was so many nerves that would converge there or end there or something. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So there's that tingly feeling is a kind of
Yeah.
you're tapping on your nervous system, and the energy's starting to move through the nervous system, and you get this and sometimes you get a tingly feeling. For some people it's really strong. For some people they don't feel anything, but that's kind of waking up the nervous system. So the next point is it's your eyebrow, where your eyebrow ends near your nose. And so it's not on your nose, it's if I take my glasses off, maybe you can say it's here. Da-dum. There you go. That's it.
Like at the end of the eyebrow.
Right at the end of the eyebrow, and you've got one on either side of your eyebrow.
Okay.
Right. That's and then if you follow your eyebrow round, if you follow the bone of the eye socket round, and you come to the edge of your eye, so the outer corner of your eye, that's called side of the eye. So this is called the eyebrow, side of the eye. Stay on the bone of the eye socket, come down underneath your pupil. That's called under the eye.
Oh, wow.
That looks about right from what I can see. I can't see very well without my glasses, unfortunately. Next one's called under the nose. It's right here, just under your nose. Next one's the chin, which is just below your bottom lip. And as you tap, I can feel my energy system shifting now. I'm getting sort of tingles all through my body. And you might want to breathe while you're doing that as well. We're just moving that energy around. And then the next one, nice easy one, just with a fairly open hand like that, you just sort of tap where your tie would be knotted. And what that does is it gets 2 points, which are both on the collarbone. So I just find it easiest to do this. And breathe. And then the next one is just under your arm, just under the armpit, and you just tap it on the side there, like you give yourself a pat. And you can do that on either side. You can do it on both sides at the same time if you want to. And that's your basic tapping routine. Yeah, so we'll just go through that again. So we got top of the head. You got that eyebrow point, and you could do it on both sides if you want to. And you're tapping gently. You're just going tap, 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 tap. It's gentle. You don't have to do it hard. Side of the eye, staying on the bone of the eye socket, corner of the eye. Tap, 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 tap. Just gentle. That's it. Cool. Under the eye, tap, 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 tap. Under the nose, tap, 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 tap. Chin, tap, 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 tap. That's that. You go. So you're at the nose, then you go to the chin. Tap, 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 tap. That's right. Collarbone. And breathe in and under the arm. And that's one round of EFT. And there were other points, but it's just been simplified down. What I like about it is it makes if you think about it, it's like makes kind of like a question mark on your face.
Oh yeah.
If you think about it, it's kind of a question mark. Yeah. Okay.
That's cool. It's cool. The question mark. Yeah, right. I was picturing like I don't know, primal or tribal like markings or something, right? Like tattoos or like white chalk or tattoo ink or something. Like it would look cool if you outlined that those
It does.
spots, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
cool. Question mark. Cool.
there was I think it's I don't all right, I'm going to get this wrong, but there was, when a body is found from ancient times, like maybe Mesolithic or Neolithic, or I'm not I'm not accurate with that use, but a body that's thousands of years old, a human. There was one
Yeah.
found frozen in the Alps, and when they kind of exhumed the body and kind of, examined the body, that person had those points tattooed onto their face.
No way.
Yeah,
Really? Yeah.
yeah. I'd have to look that up because I remember reading that quite a while ago, and I never really followed it up and made a and recorded that information somewhere. So there's an idea that humans, we've known about this for a very, very long time, and then when Gary developed EFT, he was rediscovering something ancient, which gives me a shiver. Again, I get the energy around me when I think about that. So that's the basic tapping point. And how many? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Of
8.
course, basically 8. You've got top of the head, you've got your eyebrow, and you've got both sides. You can do both sides if you want to. Both sides if you want to. 1, 1. You're getting 2 collarbone, 2 there and there, but you're basically on 8 parts of your body. And the 9th one is what's called the karate chop point, which is this part of the hand here. And we do this. We just tap on this, and this is what we do. We call it a setup statement, and that's called a setup. So that's it. It's so simple. I don't know how long did that take us just to learn those points. It just took us 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you've got a tool you can use to help you regulate your nervous system, which is why I love EFT.
That's quite cool. Yeah.
The whole this whole session was kind of awesome. Like on a recap, we've covered a lot of things. The idea you sit with your feelings, you just sit with it for a moment, you ask it questions like what if this, what if this, what if that, you let the story play out, bring it out in front of you, you kind of analyze it, you unravel it. You could sit with these feelings with your breath while doing these tappings. The tapping technique, you could simply do the tapping technique on one specific feeling,
Yeah.
acknowledging that feelings may only last a short time if you give them permission to. So you can step in and out of them. 90 seconds, it's an adrenaline flush. That's kind of covering a lot of stuff, I think. Those are I bet we could have spent a whole hour practicing any one of those tools together,
Hmm.
as we did. Anyway, interesting.
Well, I've had a feeling for a while that maybe our spiritual Sunday should become more a process group for people, because rather than talking about, actually help people to heal and shift things. I think that could be an interesting way to go forward. We'd have to talk about it, but I just think it's quite nice to take a bit of an adventure live and not really know where you're going with it. But also, I don't really want to just leave it there, just showing the tapping points. I think it would be really nice if now, without going really deeply into, like you say, going into a deep dive, just want to check in with you now, talking about fear of the dark. I think before you said, if I thought about it deeply, I'd get like a 6. It's all over my body. It feels like fight or flight. When I first mentioned it, it felt like it was like a 4 in your body. So if you just imagine if you were going to talk about your fear of the dark now and do a few rounds of EFT just to show it in action, what number do you go to thinking about that?
Well, honestly, it's a 3.
Hmm.
I'd say it's downplayed 1 iota, but in my mind, we've moved on to a different topic, kind of like recapped this great session. And yeah, maybe I've moved away from it, but I I don't know. I really feel it's a genuine like a slightly less. I can feel okay about it.
It's a 3. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll just do a round of tapping so that people at home know how to use EFT if they want to have a go at it themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a setup statement, and then it's call or response. So we're gonna start tapping on this point here, the setup point. So you want to have a go at doing that. And just keep tapping on here. So when you were saying it's still a 3, is that still general all around your body, or did it move to a particular place in your body, Mason?
I'd say it's still kind of everywhere actually, and even now, I look at it and it does that thing where it starts to grow.
Hmm.
Still feels like I got a 3 handle on it. It's good, and I feel comforted that you're like, well, we're not going to leave you there. I just think that's an awesome therapeutic technique to
Oh,
like,
do you
yeah, well,
feel
you're
that? Yeah.
there. We're not going to leave
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that's means a lot.
Yeah.
Even though I know it's a practice demo,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a 3 that feels like a Spider-Man suit still.
Spider-Man suit. So even though, just repeat after me, even though. Oh, and by the way, the people at home, you can join in by saying this stuff as well, and you'll get some kind of a benefit from it, even if you don't have the problem that Mason has. So, or the symptoms that Mason's talking about. So
Even though
I've got this Spider-Man suit on,
I've got this Spider-Man suit on,
which is like isn't protecting me,
which isn't protecting me,
but I do want some protection.
but I do want some protection.
Just talking about being afraid of the dark.
Just thinking about talking about being afraid of the dark
Gets that Spider-Man suit on me to a 3.
brings that Spider-Man suit on me to a 3.
I'd rather feel safe.
I'd rather feel safe.
And if there's any help for me here now,
And if there's any help for me here now,
I'll take it.
take it.
Okay. Then it's top of the head is like this fear of the dark.
This fear of the dark.
Then you go, this fear of the dark.
This fear of the dark.
Side of the eye. This Spider-Man suit
This Spider-Man suit.
under the eye. I don't want to talk about my fear of the dark.
I don't want to talk about my fear of the dark.
Under the nose. I did talk about my fear of the dark.
But I did talk about my fear of the dark.
And chin. Maybe I'm braver than I think.
Maybe I'm braver than I think.
Maybe I can face the dark.
Maybe I can face the dark.
Under the arm. Hey, I do face the dark.
Hey, I do face the dark.
Top of the head. Yeah, I'm willing to look at the darker side of me.
I'm willing to look at the darkest side of me.
I used to really put myself down.
I used to really put myself down.
I don't want to do that anymore.
I don't want to do that anymore.
I just don't want to do it anymore.
I just don't want to do it anymore.
We don't want to swear online, so we won't swear.
Don't want to swear online, so we won't today.
But I can think of some swear words.
But I could if I wanted to. I can think of some swear words.
And I'm whatever sick of this now.
I'm bloody sick of this now.
Yeah. I could do without it, thanks very much.
I could do without it. Thanks very much.
And just take a rest there. Have a little breathe through. Energy stuff, because when I work with people, I feel energy moving all around and through my body. You might be feeling the same thing. Certainly sometimes get a lot of heat in my body and my palms and everything. How are you doing?
I just feel perhaps a little activated, perhaps a little more some like sharp awareness to that topic. I could feel the momentum building quite quickly. The tapping when you return, that starts to feel like a cycle. and could start to feel this momentum building, like, oh, actually, I am a bit sick of this fear. I am a bit bored of this. I am a bit, oh, wish I could just take a breath and move on. I feel like that was a therapeutic breath. Like I could see I could see how it's valuable. It started to get some momentum away from it.
Okay. And what number are you? So, because we're not going to go deep into it because we don't have the time. This is, we'd have to. We could always come back to it another time, but not now. What thinking about talking about this fear of the dark? What number do you go to now?
Like, because I want to keep practicing what we're practicing, I'm a little invigorated. The idea of having an hour session now actually sounds kind of interesting. It's like, oh, there's a peek into that. Maybe that moves me to a two or something. Maybe yeah. Maybe this whole process, I've moved a couple notches in a better direction on it. Like that's pretty real. That feels pretty real, actually.
Okay, so you're getting an idea of how it works. Now, what I did was with this setup thing is because I've been doing this for so long, I was very, I was improvising a lot. But for anybody at home who's new to this, there's a standard phrase that you can use that I think we'll do another round. With your permission, we'll do another round because 2 seems okay. You can live with the 2. We might be able to get it down a bit further, but where we do the standard setup statement that anybody can just copy at home. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it goes like this. So that did you say? So it's a 2 in your body,
This second, yeah.
right? And is that still the Spider-Man suit, or has it changed? Is it located in a particular part of your body?
Feels like a bit of a patchy Spider-Man suit now, like a holy one. Like it's just maybe everywhere. It just feels like less of a grip. Yeah, it feels like feels like
Okay.
this now.
So it's
Like,
slightly. It's the lycra's beginning to lose its.
yeah, it's had it. Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
fighting crime for 10 years in this. It's time to trade it in and wash it.
Does it feel tighter anywhere, looser anywhere?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe like my chest. Like I feel like moving. Today I'm sitting on a bit of a wooden chair.
Yeah.
And we have been sitting here for a few minutes, so I don't know if it's the practice or it's time to move, but I synchronistically right now feel like I need to shift and move
Yeah.
here.
Absolutely. And if we weren't sort of sitting in front of it, I would encourage you to get up and move around and, kind of maybe even get out in the air, drink some water, all of that kind of stuff. So again, for the people at home, practice self-care. If you feel like moving, if you want to be in the sunshine, do it, just bear in mind that if you're doing tapping, you don't really want to, you give yourself a bit of time to adjust before you go out, like on a busy street where you might have to cross the road. I would not recommend driving straight after you're doing this, especially if you're new to it. The first time I did tapping, my goodness me, it took me hours to process what had been released. My therapist did it with me. She didn't realize I was going to have such an affinity with it, and she ran out of time. So I was still releasing energy when I left the session, and that's a whole nother story. That was quite interesting. But just for safety,
Cool.
always look after yourself. Be careful. Practice self-care because we're all grown-ups and we can all look after ourselves. And I think learning to look after ourselves is learning that we can do that is important. I think so. So we're just going to we'll do the standard setup. So it's even though I have this fear of the dark,
I have this fear of the dark.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
So that's the standard setup phrase. Just saying, even though I've got this, whatever it is, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Yeah, I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Yeah, and then we just go, this spider suit,
This spider suit,
it's falling off.
it's falling off.
This spider suit,
This Spider-Man suit,
it's like tattered.
It's tatted.
I'm outgrowing it.
I am outgrowing it.
This Spider-Man suit.
This Spider-Man suit.
Who needs a Spider-Man suit?
Who needs a Spider-Man suit?
Well, I can have one if I want one.
Could have one if I want one.
And then at the simplest level, just this fear of the dark.
This fear of the dark.
This Spider-Man fear of the dark.
This Spider-Man fear of the dark.
This Spider-Man suit
This Spider-Man suit
no longer fits me.
no longer fits me.
It doesn't fit me.
Doesn't fit me.
I've worn it out.
I've worn it out.
I've worn it out.
I've worn it out.
It hasn't worn me out.
It hasn't worn me out.
And then we just, have a little shake.
Yeah.
And then a breath. and I think that feels like a reasonable place to draw to draw a close there. What number have you gone to?
Like a 2 or a 1, right? Because I feel like smiling. And yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, we just did that. And so I feel kind of better. I feel kind of good. I feel there's a few good things about that. There's a few things in there that made me smile. But definitely from when you first asked me and I had this uncomfortable feeling to now, yeah, where I feel comfortable, that's a shift.
Okay, yeah, okay. So that's like a little tiptoe into using EFT on a particular problem, and that is not all of it, but the basic process. I mean, what I love about EFT is that it, as somebody who really didn't want to feel their own feelings, I really didn't want to, because when I feel something negative, or problematic, like most people, my body really responds to that, and I'm very sensitive to it. And men, we've been conditioned to think that we shouldn't. We should be like tough, but actually, everybody feels that stuff because that's what it means to be human, right? So what I love about EFT is and it's obviously it's not just for men, but because of our gender, we're talking about being male. Being able to do tapping on these points of my body means that I can actually have some agency over my nervous system, and I feel like I can do something, and that gives me the courage to, feel those feelings. And when you're working, you can do it by yourself. Work with a practitioner, and the practitioner will bring you. And actually, the segue, I suppose, is, it brings you. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. We're bringing ourselves to self-acceptance, to bringing things into the heart. True courage. Cœur, the French word cœur, forgive my pronunciation, means heart. It's the root of the word courage.
Forgive my heart is the root of the word courage.
Cœur, terrible French pronunciation. Cœur, which means heart.
Okay.
That's the root of the word courage. It comes from the French.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. Super cool. Yeah, that just feels good to kind of to have that. I feel better. I don't know. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. I was yawning a bit there too, and I've heard in other practices this is like that's a release, that's a something. Even now, I've got a yawn,
Yeah.
but
Yawning's
it feels like that. It feels like a real release from even just that.
Yawning is the most common way that you just keep letting it go. Is that the body releases tension, releases emotion, kind of energy, your energy shifting. That's the most common way. But there are other ways, like, weeping is a release of emotion. I mean, we've got so many judgments against ourselves for weeping, but if you're doing EFT, you're going to cry at some point. You're going to weep because it's the way that the body comes back into balance. Letting off wind, that can happen. Stomach gurgling, burping. sometimes it's not very pretty, but that's fine, because it's a way of letting the body process. It's an aid for helping the body to process those emotions, so that you can be free of the past and live in the present moment. That's EFT's sort of mission statement, really. And it can help with physical problems as well, where where the physical problem is a build up of like stagnant energy, or kind of tension and fear and stuff that's been around for a long time. So I just want to honour Gary Craig, who is the man who brought that to the world. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah, not super familiar with that for his work. And you learned under him, or you studied his work?
Well, my therapist, my first therapist, she'd been and done a little training course, and she said, "Do you want to try this new thing?" And then when she tried it with me, I just took to it like it was just a love affair from then on, And I just
Cool.
so I've used it extensively, like for years and years and years and years. I had this self practice which was like just a little bit intense, for, slightly abnormally intense probably, but when you find your thing, you really go for it like that. And then I was I went and did the training, but I didn't do it with Gary. And then I had a client who was pregnant at the time, and whenever she tapped on the top of her head, she felt sick. She felt sick. She felt like morning sickness feelings.
Okay.
And I just was like, well, I don't know about that. My training hasn't covered that. So I got in touch with Gary just through his website. And one Sunday afternoon, I was on the couch and the phone rang, and this voice went, hey Mike, yeah, it's Gary. And I was like, Gary? And he went, yeah, Gary Craig. I said, Gary? What? And then he talked me through it, and then we started to, then we formed a little group of people, and we were meeting, because he's over in America, so I've never actually met him and been in the room with him, but for a few years we had a little research group going, and we'd meet up every week and we'd talk things through, and he'd teach us different things. And then so that was great learning with him that way. And then Gary's also got a website where he's like made hundreds of hours of videos that are available for free, and really in-depth training online as well. So it's been a mixture of but I've never actually been in the same room physically as him, but we've done a lot together.
That's really cool. That's a really cool connection to hear about. That's neat.
Yeah, it's a powerful technique, and I think it's something that I would love for more people to know about. Yeah.
Is it the same technique all the way through, like the entire, no matter what the topic is, the same tapping pattern? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just applied to
Yeah.
every situation.
It used to be more complicated. There are points on your fingers that you can use, but Gary's he's an engineer, so by training. So what he did was he just simplified it down to the most simple technique. Yeah.
Okay.
So just before we finish, because I know we've stayed on for quite a long time because we took it in a slightly different direction. What's the situation with this Spider-Man suit now?
Like we've moved out of it, and I feel, it's just a fraction of what it was. It's just the customary usual amount when I tap into it in my mind. But I feel totally fine, totally comfortable, totally ready for the day. In fact, even I just feel like I have a new insight on that thing. That's a topic that's come up in therapy for years. And to even just surprise, didn't expect it today, get one more different look at it. Like I'd walk out of here with comfort. This is nice. And like thank you. Appreciate it. Like I
Yeah.
will follow.
Yeah.
I should follow
Thank
up with
you,
you
Mike.
on that later. But yeah, thanks, Mike. It's a
So
serious thanks.
the last thing to say about it is, my instinct is, and I think it's kind of fairly obvious, is there's more work to do with that particular fear. Because what
Yes.
all we've done today is basically go, here's the basic tapping thing, and here's a way of beginning to kind of soften the edges around it in order to go into, and then you eventually go into it bit by bit, and then then you can go to the heart of it, and you can release that. But we're not doing that today. But so that's just a little intro to EFT.
That was awesome. That was brilliant. Yeah. Super. Thank you. Thanks also, Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Well, that was a good session today. Yeah. I mean, like I said, the recap on the things was cool. And I don't know, that was just interesting. Yeah, I hope anybody watching got anything out of that. You can contact us anytime for any questions or if you want to follow up. But I hope that was just great. Thank you.
Yeah, and any EFTers out there who have a comment on, because maybe you think I'm doing it in a strange way, that's fine as well. Just open conversation. I think the more that we come together and the more that we work together and begin to recognise the unity behind all experience, I think the better for everybody. You know, unity is kind of what we're all about here, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and that's not easy. It's not easy because we're all dragging our egos around. See, you know. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks. So I don't know. I mean, I guess should we stop the live stream now?
Yeah.
And we can stay online for a little bit, not too long, because we had a much longer session than we thought we were going to.
Okay.
So just thank you for joining us live. If you want to join us, we're going to have a very brief conversation. We're not going to be around for much longer, but if you want to come over, then you have to go to Courses for Spirit, coursesforspirit.ca for Canada. Find workshops, hit on Zoom, and you'll pop straight into the Zoom. Okay, so thanks everybody. We'll see you soon.
See you next Sunday.
Bye.